Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I finally have the reinforcements ranking video that I have been working on for the past few weeks. I've advertised it in my past few videos, and it has come out a little bit late, but I could not put it out over the weekend as I was out of town. But here it is, and I hope you guys are excited. Now, I will be ranking all the reinforcements, and keep in mind, this is just my personal opinion. It is not a definitive list, and by no means is something to, strictly abide by. I am ranking these by my personal opinion and also just our overall effectiveness in all situations, close range, long range, mid range, all that stuff, because certain reinforcements are very situational, so they might get ranked a little bit lower. I will be ranking them from worst to best, and without further ado, let's get right into the ranking. And coming in dead last in the number 18 position as the worst reinforcement in Battlefront 2 is the Rebel and Imperial aerials. Now, they're carbon copies of each other, exact same gun, exact same abilities. However, I just don't like aerials in general all that much. Their rockets are great, but they have such a long cooldown, and their jetpacks are nice, they're cool, they're fun, but not all that useful, except for getting to the high ground. Like, they're really fun to use, but they just feel weak. I just can't seem to get any kind of kill streak going with them. And so that's just partially me not liking aerials, and also the fact that their gun is not effective enough at long range. Now, if you're an aggressive aerial, these guys might be a little bit better, but in my opinion, these guys are the worst reinforcement in Battlefront 2 and take the number 18 spot. Next on the list, we have the Resistance aerial. Now, these guys are just slightly better than the Rebellion and Empire aerials, which are carbon copies of each other. The Resistance aerial has a slightly better gun, which is the main criteria when comparing aerials, because they're basically all the same with the jetpacks. It's just their guns that are different. Their gun is slightly better at long range. It does have quite a bit of a learning curve to it. It's quite unforgiving, but once you do get better at it, it is a really good gun. And I think it just slightly edges the Rebel and Imperial's gun just for its extra effectiveness at range. So these guys take the number 17 spot. Next, we have the B2 rocket droid. Now, these guys have a slightly better gun. However, they are held back from being as good as the clone aerial by their lackluster dodge, which does not go as far as the other aerials' dodges, and also their slightly larger hitbox. They used to have more health than other aerials, which was a nice bonus, but now they do not after the final Scarif update, which changed that. And they're good. Their blaster is just as good as the clone aerials and much better than the aerials before it. However, it's very bad dodge and bigger hitbox just make it not quite as good as the clone aerial, which is our next reinforcement on the list. These guys are a very solid aerial, and like I said, I'm just not a huge fan of aerials, and we'll be done with them for a while now. And I mean, the clone aerials are very similar to the separatist aerials, but I think their gun is just slightly better, and the fact that their dodge is normal, and their gun just feels the smoothest while shooting it in the air. And overall, I think they are slightly better than the separatist aerial, and they take the number 15 spot. And next, at number 14, we have the Commando droid. Maybe one of my few surprise rankings. Now, these guys have insane mobility when you chain their dodges and vibro swords, but other than that, like, they're cool, but they're not that good. They're overrated. Their vibro swords, at least in co-op, take 3 hits to kill, which is all 3. So if you've got a group of enemies, you've got no chance with your vibro swords. And their gun really needs a buff. It does nothing at longer ranges, and even at close range, it's not all that great. And overall, they just don't feel like they have enough damage output. Their smokescreen thermal vision combo is great, but they just don't do enough damage. So they're good, but I just can't justify putting them any higher than this. Now at number 13, we have the Ewok Hunter. These guys are cute, adorable, and they're also murder bears in Ewok Hunt, but this is not Ewok Hunt. They are not overpowered in normal game modes. Their Hunter's Bow is great if you can hit your shots. Much easier said than done, and the gameplay you see behind you is in co-op, so the AI just kind of stands still and lets me snipe them. But in most game modes, you're not going to be able to hit your Hunter's Bow shots very consistently. So, like, it's kind of hard to justify putting them very high because their whiskey pouch is great, their horn buff is great, their predator instincts is great, but their bow is just not that good because when you're not zoomed in, you've got the aimbot, which takes like 4 hits to kill a regular trooper, and it doesn't have a very fast rate of fire, so it just feels really underpowered. Now, I love these guys. Their small hitbox is super nice, but they're just not quite that good because their primary weapon is so bad. So, these guys are good. I love them. Don't get me wrong. But their lack of a good primary weapon holds them back. So, they take the number 13 spot. Next, at number 12, we have the Flametrooper. Probably the most situational reinforcement in the game, but in a close quarters situation, which you can somewhat easily get yourself into on a lot of maps, they are probably the most dominant in the game. Their flamethrower melts at close range. Like, it's a hero melter at close range. However, anything past close range, they really struggle because the only thing they have past their alternate fire range, which is like a really badly thrown grenade, is their actual grenade, which is their incendiary imploder or whatever it's called. Now, it's a great grenade, but it has a long cooldown, so if you want to do anything at range, you're going to have to sit back and hide for like 20 seconds. So, as dominant as they are at close range, they take the number 12 spot because of their situational nature, which does hold them back quite a bit. But I really do love these guys. It pains me to put them this far back. I love dominating with them in instant action, so they're great, but they take the number 12 spot because of their situational nature. At number 11, we have the Droideka, one of the most feared droids from the Separatists during the Clone Wars. Now, in Battlefront 2, on the other hand, these guys, they're good, but they're not great. Now we're getting into reinforcements that really are getting to be good reinforcements. Like, all the Battlefront reinforcements are really good. However, the Droideka, even with its shield and all that, it has it has splash damage on its weapon shots. It's got high damage output. It's got all of that. But the main thing that gives me a problem with the Droideka is its mobility. They have great mobility sometimes, because they can have great mobility when they're in ball form, but the worst mobility in the game when in destroyer form. And it's kind of a weird trade-off because it takes several seconds to transform, which is going to get you killed a lot of the time. And this just makes me kind of like confused because these guys are really good. It's just that they don't have the mobility to either they have the best mobility in the game or the worst. And the transformation takes so long that you're going to get killed while in it a lot. So just because of that, these guys got bumped down several ranks, and I just can't justify putting them any higher than this. And now, cracking the top 10 at number 10, we have the ISB agent. These guys are a super cool reinforcement with a super cool melee, and unlike the Commando droid, they get health on kill with their melee strikes, which is super helpful because to be effective with these guys, you either have to play passively with their dual wielding pistols, or you have to like use your scanning ability and stalk people with your melee. So the health on melee kill passive ability is super useful, and if you're going for that kind of play style, their other abilities play into it really well. But overall, I feel that their dual pistols are a little bit underpowered, especially compared to the ARC troopers. Their alternate fire really is not that good. They do have their buff ability, which is helpful to give yourself some more self-sustain, which is nice for infiltrators who do not have much of that. However, I feel that their underpowered primary weapon does hold them back a little bit, but they do take the very respectable number 10 spot. Now, inside the top 10, at number 9, we have the Wookie Warrior. Now, if there's any OG Battlefront players watching this, you know how overpowered they used to be. They have been nerfed numerous times and are now down to a respectable power level. They are dominant at close range, not quite to the extent that the Flametroopers are, but they can deal good damage at mid range, but they do struggle a little bit at long range. And that is why they are not quite as high on the list, but I do love these guys, especially for their thermal imploder, which is the best grenade in the game, in my opinion. They replaced their health buff with a slam in the final Battlefront update, which was not the greatest, but nothing to be done about it now. Their bowcasters are hard to use, but when you can use them effectively, they're devastating. So these guys take a solid number 9. Now at number 8, we have our final aerial of the episode. Now, the first order rocket trooper is not like any other aerial. They're like Boba Fett, but just not quite as powerful. They are insane. I love them. You can just float up in the sky. Their jetpack is the best in the game, including Boba Fett's. And their tri-barrel launcher is challenging but very rewarding to use. However, their primary weapon is more effective in most situations. But their primary weapon deals splash damage, so you've got splash damage all around. They're super fun to use. Their jetpack tackle is hard to land hits with, but is super useful for mobility. And overall, they deservedly get by far the best aerial in the game. They are by quite a large margin the best aerial in the game, in my opinion. And I think most people will agree with me, but I just love these guys for the fact that they can hover, which like I said, they've got the best jetpack in the game, including Boba's, and these guys are amazing, and they place number 8. next up, we have the Kafex Spy. These guys are great. I used to struggle with them a lot, even with their overpowered scanning beacon, because I just could not aim their pistol. And once I found out it was fully automatic, then I started to take off. I struggle with semi automatic pistols for whatever reason, but since their pistol is fully automatic, I've just lately been dominating with them. I've just like you can kill regular troopers with 2 headshots, and that's not very hard to do because they've got pinpoint accuracy, and their scanner beacon is free kills. That's all I need to say. Free kills. It's that easy. You just throw it down in a group of enemies, wait a few seconds, and then activate it, reactivate the ability, and there you go. You've got like 3 free kills on a orbital barrage. Like, seriously, it's that easy to get kills. Their truncheon attack is a little bit weak, but overall it's not bad. It's stronger than normal melee. So these guys are great, and they take the number 7 spot. Now, just outside the top 5, at number 6, we have the B2 Super Battle Droid. Now, these guys are nothing special. They're just good. Like, they have the most stock standard enforcer abilities you can ask for. Wrist rocket, overload, and health buff. So basically explosive, the overload, and health buff. That is stock standard. Nothing special about it, but they're just so good. Their primary weapon is amazing. Overload sends it to the next level. You can clear out hallways. Their wrist rockets are great. They are a little bit hard to land, but are devastating when you can. And their health buff, as always, is great. And I don't know, there's nothing special about these guys, nothing fancy or like snazzy or anything. They're just good. Overall, they're just good. They can melt heroes with their abilities, and like originally I was gonna rank them a lot lower, but as I've been playing them, they have just grown on me, and they rank a very respectable number 6. And now, cracking the top 5, at number 5, we have the Clone Commando. These guys, I'm I used to really not like them. I didn't really like their blaster. I couldn't figure out how their middle ability worked. But now that I have, I love them. I don't use their middle ability a lot, but it is one of the better abilities in the game. It gives you, I think, 50% damage reduction, and you get 50% lifesteal on your weapon shots, which is a huge bonus because their health regeneration delay, I think, is 10 seconds, which is a long time, and just having that lifesteal helps you get it back. Their primary weapon suffers from severe damage drop off, but that can be fixed with their anti armor attachment, which can take out any vehicle in the game in just 3 shots, which is super nice for taking out those players that just sit in vehicles the whole game. So you get 3 grenade shots. There's like a second delay between each one, but it overall really helps the commando add some range to his arsenal and also just take out vehicles. And all of that combined just makes for a really solid reinforcement. And they also basically have a force push that doesn't do any damage, which can be super useful if you run into like a Count Dooku or something and choose life. You can knock them to the ground and run, or try and kill them if they're low. So these guys are overall really good and place number 5. And now at number 4, we have the Death Trooper. Probably my favorite stormtrooper in all of Star Wars, and probably one of the best, definitely one of the best reinforcements in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Their sonic imploder is insane. It's the second best grenade in the game, and they're just like the B2 Super Battle Droid. There is nothing special about them. They're just so perfect. Like, nothing special, just standard enforcer kit, but they're just so good at it. And they are by far the best Imperial reinforcement and take the number 4 spot. And now at number 3, we have the Sith Trooper. These guys are amazing. Their oppression grenade is probably top 5 grenades, for sure top 5 grenades in Battlefront. As if your enemies don't get killed by the blast, they can't regenerate health for, I think, a full 12 seconds or something absurd like that. And their scanning ability, as always, is great. And they also have an ability similar to the ISB agents, their damage reduction while sprinting, except this time it's health on kill and a faster sprint speed while the ability is active. So that's really nice. Adds some self-sustain when you need it, and their primary weapon is insane. It sounds super cool. The Quarrel Blast is hard to use but useful, and overall these guys are just amazing. Oh yeah, and they are super cool in looks as well. The red armor just looks so cool. Like, if it's not the Death Trooper, it's the Sith Trooper. That's my favorite stormtrooper in Star Wars. It's one of the two. I just can't decide. You know, these guys are great. I don't know what to say about them, but they take the number 3 spot. Now, in the runner-up spot, we have the ARC Trooper. I don't know what it is about these guys, but it's just a combination of their dual-wielding pistols and shock grenade that just make them great. Their shock grenade is one of my favorite abilities in the game. It's devastating for heroes and can deal enough damage to infantry to save you more often than not. And their scanning ability is great, but their dual pistols is what makes them really shine. Their secondary fire has the fastest fire rate in the game. You can use it the most often. That's the one thing I like about when they change a dual wielding mechanic to a set fire rate instead of spam the triggers as fast as you can, is that I can now use the alternate fire much more often, which is super useful. They don't have much for self-sustain, but if you're good, you're not going to need self-sustain because everybody's going to be dead. So I don't even know what to say about these guys. They're just amazing, and they take the runner-up spot. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the number 1 reinforcement in Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the Ovissian Gunner. Sentries are overpowered in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and they made a reinforcement that can tote one, like a boss. These guys are hero melters, they are choke point holders, and they can basically do everything and do it at least somewhat well. Sentries, like I said, are overpowered in this game, and these guys take it to the next level. I don't know why they did it, but I sure am glad they did because they are by far my favorite reinforcement in Battlefront. Their shoulder charge can be useful in a pinch, but their middle ability is really what makes them shine. And especially with the right star cards equipped, well, the ability is active. you can fire for an unlimited amount of time. And you get, I think it's, well, you get lifesteal off of your shots. I'm not sure how much. And that lifesteal health goes to your nearby allies as well. So it's one of the best objective abilities in the game. And combined with a health on kill card, you're going to be nearly unkillable. Their anti-armor attachment is great for taking out vehicles. It's not nearly as powerful as the clone commandos, but still something to watch out for if you're in an ATST. And overall, these guys are just amazing. I don't even know what to say, but they take the #1 spot on this list. So, what did you guys think? Did you agree? Did you disagree? Tell me down in the comments. And that is going to wrap up this week's episode. So, make sure you like and subscribe. And with that, I will see you guys out on the battlefront.